It's okay. You'll survive.
You don't need coffee.
fuel.
You don't need coffee. I know someone who's going to wake you up. Dolly Parton.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
Dolly is live with us this morning.
Can I just say, Dolly Parton, it's Janice Dean here. I do the weather here on Fox and Friends. You are one of my most favorite human beings, and if it's okay by you, when you come to New York City, can I give you a huge hug, and will you do the weather with me?
I will, and we'll have coffee.
I'll come for the
great.
coffee.
Dolly, every time
Just made her day.
Dolly, every time I go back home or get interviewed by someone, people say, "Who's your favorite interview?" And I always say two different answers: sitting president and Dolly Parton.
Oh my gosh.
I've
heard you say that
probably
before.
don't even remember it, Dolly, but I came down to Nashville and sat next to you, and you were, first of all, teeny tiny. I was like, you could put 3 of your legs in one of mine. You're itty bitty. You're the cutest thing ever. But you know what I love most about you? You are so loving. You just exude God's love.
Yep.
You radiate it.
So
tell
true.
us about your background for people
well-
at home that don't know.
Well, actually, I grew up in a very religious family, spiritual family. My grandpa was a preacher. My mom was, very, very spiritual. So I get that spiritual side. So I love God, and I always ask that He shines through me. Hopefully, He can. And of course, I need forgiveness every day, of course. But I grew up in a family of 12 in the Great Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee, and from a poor family growing up, but good people. And like we didn't have money, but we were rich in love and faith and all the things that really matter. And so it's kind of like a Cinderella story, really. And so I just sometimes feel like I'm in a fairy tale, thinking, how did this all happen? And it was always my dream, and I've just loved every bit of it. Even the hard times were good, as they say. And so here I am, and I'm just getting a chance to talk to wonderful people like you that have also worked hard to get where you are. So it's nice to see your dreams come true, ain't it?
So Dolly, just so you know, so we are live on the Fox and Friends Facebook page right now, and I'm looking at the comments, and people are sending you a lot of love. But we want you guys at home, or if you're on Facebook, to ask your questions. So if you have any questions, any comments, then I will be sure to ask Dolly while we are sitting here. We're just getting a ton of love.
I want to tell you that I listen to a lot of what you say in your quotes. A lot of weather. You use a lot of weather in, how you look at the world, like with sunny skies and your roots are deep. Do you look for inspiration in the outdoors?
Well, I actually do get inspiration from the outdoors. I've written many, many songs about God's coloring book. One of my favorite songs that I've written is called God's Coloring Book, and it talks about all the different things. And years ago, I wrote a song before Ray Stevens wrote Everything's Beautiful. I wrote a song called Everything's Beautiful in its own way, and it talks about even the storms and all the things that are beautiful. So I do get inspiration from that, and weather inspires me. I love rainy days. I love all of that. I love all this. Like the weather's like your moods, really. So I can see where you're going there with your weather. But yes, life is like the weather, like a weather forecast, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
We're gray tomorrow. We're stormy this day, but we always come back with sunshine. Yeah.
You personify sunshine for a lot of people, and I feel like we need more of that these days. There's a lot of, I feel like sometimes there's a lot of storm clouds over us with regards to politics and the way the world is, but when you come on screen, it's like sunshine, and I love the fact that that's what you want to bring to people as an entertainer.
Well, that's what I do want to bring. I mean, of course, I have my moods as well, and you're right. It's been a dark season. It's almost been monsoon, but we know that that's going to pass. And I always try to look for the good. I always try to look for the sunlight and try to separate those clouds as quick as I can, even in my own life or in the whole world in general. So if I can be a little bright spot, to people, that makes me feel good. I mean, I'm like everybody else. I go through a lot, but I try to keep a good positive attitude, and I try to work through things as quick as I can to get back to the sunlight.
Dolly, I have a few questions from people who are watching. Kathy Baker would like to know how often are you there?
At Dollywood?
Yep.
Are you talking at Dollywood? Well,
Yes.
actually, I come but at least 4 times a year for a long weekend because we have our, we have our opening in the spring. Then in the summer we have some special little programs that we do, and then in the fall we have our fall festivals and our bluegrass and gospel music, and then in the winter we have our Christmas thing. So I try to at least like 4 seasons is basically, I guess it would safely say. But sometimes I come in and out when I'm up here to see my family. This is where I'm from, so I come to see relatives, and sometimes unexpected I'll just drop by the park and maybe ride a little, what we call the DeWitt. It's an old antique car. Just a little parade through the park, or just say hi to people, or walk out on stage with my family, unexpected. So that makes it fun.
That is fun.
4 times for real, and then just in and outs.
Lachey Parker would like to know, what is your favorite song that you've ever done?
Well, that's really a complicated one. My favorite song I've written, and the one that probably means the most to me, is my little Coat of Many Colors, because it's about Mama. It's about a way of life. It addresses all sorts of feelings, acceptance, and the anti-bullying, we need to accept people and their differences because that's what makes the world go round. But as far as a singer, songwriter, I would guess I Will Always Love You is one of my favorites, because every singer likes to have a ballad where you can start slow and then really sing your guts out at the end of it. So I guess those 2 are my favorites.
Dolly, we're going to stay on favorites for a second, because I don't know anybody else that has a theme park. Is in movies with Jennifer Aniston.
She deserves all of it.
Hits across the spectrum. You are a cultural icon. You also have an Imagination Library program that's given away its 100 millionth book recently, where you send books to kids who wouldn't otherwise get them. I mean, when you sit back and you look at your legacy and your impact, what are you most proud of? What do you want to invest in the most these days?
Well, actually, I want to be remembered for a lot of things, certainly my music and whatever I contributed to that, because I was a songwriter, singer. But the fact that that's allowed me to do so many things, and I'm so proud. As far as my charities or any of that work, I think the Imagination Library is certainly one of the things I am the proudest of, because of my dad, because I started it from a sincere place in my heart, because my dad couldn't read and write, but so smart, and he felt always a little crippled by that. So I started it in his honor. He got to help me with it, live long enough to see the kids call me the book lady. And so now we're all over the world, as you mentioned, giving 100 million books away already. But I think that being called the book lady will go down, hopefully. They might even put that on my tombstone, I don't know. Dolly the star book lady.
How does it work? How can we all help? Do you take donations from people to use that money to buy the books?
Actually, that's a wonderful question. I, of course, do my concerts and, donate money and do all the things that I can to generate money. But the way that the money is made is just these communities take the program on, and it's a community-built thing. Like a lot of the businesses, the banks, and the big businesses in towns, they go out and they get donations, and everybody gets involved in it. So it's a community-based thing, and everybody's so proud of what they do in their own communities, and we get the books into the hands of these children. So I get a lot of credit for a lot of hard work that a lot of other people do, and I certainly am out there as the spokesperson and proud to do it. But there's a lot of hard-working people making all this happen, and having the book Coat of Many Colors was illustrated as a book, my song, years ago, and so that's the book they put in the Library of Congress to commemorate our 100 millionth book a couple of weeks ago, and that was a great honor.
You know what you do? You bring people together, because music and reading and theme parks and Dolly Parton bring the world together. I love you, Dolly Parton. I wish there were thousands more of you.
And so do many other people, I have to tell you that. Dolly, can I ask you another question here from someone who's watching? Caitlin Roten-Petty would like to know, if you can go back and do anything different, what would it be?
That's a good question.
Well, I've thought about that, and I've been asked. I don't know that I'd go back and do anything different, because I did one thing different, it might change the whole picture. So
yeah.
I always say I don't have regrets. Maybe I would have rethought a few things, but I don't live like that. I just figure everything that happened, everything I ever did seemed to be the thing to be doing at the time. So I don't know that I'd redo anything, to be honest with you.
Well said.
Love that.
Oh, my gosh, I love you, Dolly.
Confident person.
If only everybody were lucky enough to live a life where they could say, I wouldn't change a thing. It's amazing.
Well, it could, because as you said, every season it comes for a reason.
Maybe I should change it.
No, because you're right. If you change one thing, it might have put you on a different path.
Yeah, it would tilt it.
Yeah.
That's your journey. I mean, you don't know what it is. I mean, it's like that's why we get knocked down, we get up, but it builds character. And I mean, there's some, I'd like to go back and say, oh, I wish I hadn't hurt so bad about that, or I wish this and that. But that's just the wishing. But I wouldn't change it. Honestly, I don't think I would.
I can't wait to meet you in person and give you the biggest hug. You're just such an inspiration to so many people.
Well,
and I can't wait to watch you guys do the weather together.
Well, thank you so much. I want to do the weather, and we'll still have coffee. Y'all get some coffee. I know you do.
Thank you, Dolly. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Dolly. Go to
Visit
Dollywood.
Dollywood.
Check it out.
Have a great weekend, everyone.